up into extension for your fingers to contract. This is classically called tenodesis grip. So it's an interesting sort of term, and it's this balancing act. You can imagine two pulleys kind of counteracting each other. When one pulley contracts, the other one has to lengthen.
Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Nick Halsey with Motus Nova. I'm a licensed neurophysical therapist and neuroscientist helping brain injury survivors understand how to make functional gains after their injury. I hope this video helps you in your recovery.
Well, Robin, welcome back to Rehab Power. It's great to see you again. And I'm excited to see how things are going with you.
I'm hoping they're going better.
Okay, sure. So, well, talk to me. See, let me know how things have been going. It's been about, let's see. Well, of course, we've chatted online in terms of the support group and all that, but let me know how your days have been so far since we last talked.
I just made 150 hours on this Motus hand, and I'm still waiting for finger movement, but I know it's going to take forever or for a while. If I just keep doing it, it's only my third month. Yeah, this is only my third month, so I can't expect.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think it's one of these things that it is variable, right? It does take some time, but we should see some improvements. And so, tell me about what are you feeling like when you're not wearing the Motus hand? Are you feeling any changes in your range of motion, your tone? Talk to me about those types of things.
Yes, actually, I can actually raise my arm up a little bit higher than I did before.
Okay.
And
great.
My idea was to be able to hug my husband and get my arm up there. I just did that yesterday. I was like so excited, woohoo! But you know
that's
how that
awesome.
That goes. You know, I think I did it once and then I couldn't do it again. Like, oh man.
Sure.
But you know, I got a little bit of finger movement and an index finger, just a little bit on my index finger. I'm still waiting for these two to move a little bit more.
Okay.
And I got more range. I'm hoping more range motion in my wrist without this hand on. For some reason, I must be dumb or something. I don't really understand how it is when I sit here with this free hand going up and down, how I can't do that with this hand by itself, because I can't get my fingers to just be straight. They want to curl up like this.
Yeah, and so let me say, you're not stupid, Robin, not at all. So while you're getting this curling up, is that what you're asking? When you go up and you get curls?
Right. I mean, I can, without this hand Motus, I can come up a little bit higher. I think I'm coming up higher than with it on. For some reason, like sitting like I'm not able to pull it up like I want to.
Yep. Let me tell you exactly why that's happening, Robin. So there's this thing, there's the biomechanics of our wrists and our hands are a bit complex. And biomechanics meaning like how the muscles and joints are kind of working together. And the hand is really interesting because if I actually contract the muscles that move my wrist up and I try to keep my hand straight, what happens is the muscles down here actually, and down in my flexors here, they contract. Okay, they just get put on tension and then they will kind of pull in. So there is a move your hand up into extension for your fingers to contract. This is classically called tenodesis grip.
Hey, if you're finding this video helpful, please hit like and subscribe to help other brain injury survivors learn how Motus Nova is changing neuro-rehab.
So it's an interesting sort of term, and it's this balancing act. You can imagine two pulleys kind of counteracting each other. When one pulley contracts, the other one has to lengthen. And the consequence of it lengthening is our fingers, because on our fingers, there's effectively little they're hinge joints, and they actually will just pull on the individual fingers. And whenever you pull on a tendon of your finger, it's going to shorten. So there's a tendency, I apologize for using the word tendency and tendons in the same word as concept here, but there's a tendency for when you contract your extensors for our flexor tendons to be put on tension. And that means that they will contract naturally. So that is very, 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 very common. And so what you might be able to experience there, Robin, is when you don't have the Motus hand on, when your fingers are allowed to actually kind of curl a little bit, you will get more wrist extension, period. But the thing is when you have the Motus hand on, it's trying to combat that, and it's trying to keep your fingers in a relatively extended position. And so when you're trying to extend there is effectively more tension in your flexors.
So is that why Botox, they do it on the bottom side of your wrist or the bottom side of your arm to kill people?
Precisely. That is precisely why it is. So it's this kind of balancing act. It's the challenge with the upper extremity is that our flexors become more hypertonic. They have a lot more tone and potentially more spasticity there, as opposed to the extensors. And the other challenge too, it's kind of a double whammy, if you will allow me to use the little cute term. It is those muscles in our flexors are actually stronger than our extensors in most circumstances. And so when you have a neurologic imbalance, that is compounded by a biomechanical imbalance where the one side is just naturally stronger than the other. And so those two things kind of set up to have us have this flexion posture. So very, very common to have that experience that you're dealing with.
And so why does this happen again? I mean, I understand the kind of concept, but to me, it's like, why isn't there a shoot in the brain and make it all better? Why does it have to be such a long, couldn't agree.
Yeah. Why is it such a long process? So it's a really good question. And the truth be told is, oh, sorry, did you say something there, Robin?
No, I said, come on with this thing. With all
So
it's okay. Go ahead. No, I said, with all the studies that they do, there should be something that you should be able to do something. I think to put like not a Botox in the brain because it'd kill your brain, but some like a saline solution in the brain to clear out all the whatever the problem is, open it up again, so it would just move along.
Yeah. I mean, if it was so here's the thing: if it was simply like a plumbing problem, so like heart, and all my cardiothoracic surgeons out there or the cardiologists will laugh at this, but it's really just plumbing, right? Because it comes down in vasculature is just plumbing, right? They're just tubes, and they allow, of course, there's more complexity than that, right? They can contract these sort of things, but it's plumbing, right? So when you have a blockage in either a vessel or an artery, you can effectively do things to kind of rotor-rooter your way out of it. Now that's again an oversimplification, but if it's simply flow that's a problem, then that's relatively easy to solve as compared to what happens after a neurologic injury. And while if you boil it down to the fundamentals, it is flow of current that drives our communications in our networks in our brain. The problem is it's not like we can just rotor-rooter our way out of this, because what happens is so much of what our behaviors, our ability to communicate, our ability to move is a complex orchestration of 86 billion neurons that are working together to try to generate some outcome. And when portions of that get destroyed because of a stroke, or because of let's say a traumatic brain injury, or because maybe a post-surgical resection of a tumor, there are literally chunks that are just removed. And so you can imagine it, unlike if you just had a clogged artery, you could kind of rotor-rooter your way out of this. Imagine a large chunk of that network, of that drainage, of those pipes are just gone. Now what you have to do is you have to slowly put down new pipes in other places. And that is a much longer, more challenging process to do, especially when we have effectively what amounts to adult nervous systems. Our adult nervous systems are a bit less plastic than, let's say, a 6-week-old baby. Their systems are much more plastic, able to adapt, that kind of thing. And so it just takes a lot of time to lay down those new pathways again, or open up those new pathways. So the reason it takes so long is because the damage is generally more extensive. And to your point, shouldn't there be some drug by now? And you're exactly right. And we would very much hope for there to be a drug. And there was actually a couple of really cool, promising trials that came out of the preclinical world. One notable example was this antidepressant medication called fluoxetine. It had amazing outcomes in the preclinical world. But then what happens is they translate it out to clinical individuals and into patients, into humans, And it doesn't work because things are just different in humans sometimes. And so there are active studies going on right now, Robin. It's a slow, monotonous process to understand the system, which we don't fully understand, to be honest. And then B, trying to figure out what type of medications we can use or treatments we can use to restore or improve the function. It is a tough problem. And our best bet right now is really on the idea of what's called recapitulating those learning processes. And that's what repetitive task practice programs do. They just help try to force the system to lay down those new pathways or open up those pathways that had been hidden before.
Thanks for watching this video. If you have questions or would like to speak with me about how you can make functional gains from home, call or text me at 404-939-3476 or visit motusnova.com/contact.